But one of the major problems facing South Africa is the housing crisis. This new administration certainly has its work cut out for it in addressing a backlog of about 7 million. In his cabinet announcement last night, President Cyril Ramaphosa reappointed Mmamoloko Kubayi as Human Settlements Minister. Newzroom Afrika's Nasiphi is getting reaction for us on this appointment. Nasiphi, good morning. Again, and you've been in situations where you've covered a number of stories of people who are without housing, people who've been on lists, people who said that they were entitled to RDP houses, for example, didn't have access to them. So it has been quite messy so far. What reaction are you getting where you are?
Well, Iman, it has been quite interesting to watch the previous administration, as you put it, a number of people living in informal settlements and dwellings as well. And if you remember, during the COVID-19 pandemic in the Western Cape, rather, we saw the biggest land occupation that saw the birth of COVID informal settlement, with about 18 informal settlements under it, thousands currently living there in a situation or an environment that is not suitable to live in, taking into account that the area or the land there is waterlogged. And also the fact that, just here in the Western Cape alone, the housing backlog is over 500,000 of people waiting to see themselves one day moving into a home. And as you put it, President Ramaphosa yesterday reappointing Mmamoloko Kubayi as the Human Settlements Minister, and her deputy being Booi. And to talk to us further about what he thinks, I'm joined by Buhle from Ndifuna Ukwazi Organising, who is the head of Organising and campaigns there. Buhle, your first reaction following that announcement by the President when it comes to human settlement?
Thank you very much. Firstly, we think that this is a moment of recovery. We think this is a moment to reconsider and reconstruct government, given the economic and class stalemate that we find ourselves in. We are, of course, happy that government is constituted, but of course quite very disappointed that there are certain ministers that have come back to cabinet. For instance, the Minister of Human Settlements, Mmamoloko Kubayi. We know that they failed in their capacity as a minister in so far as delivering housing in this country. We have about 2.5 million people that are on the housing waiting list in this country. So that is a crisis that we find ourselves in. We equally know that the government in 1998 built about 235,000 houses per year. Now it's only building about 33,000. So that's a crisis that we find ourselves in. And no one should be rewarded with the ministerial position after failing to address such a crisis. Equally, the other crisis that we have in this country is that of informal settlements. The government is saying that people should live a life of dignity. There is no life of dignity living in informal settlements. In 1994, with about 300 informal settlements. Today we have 3,000. Over 3,000 informal settlements in this country. That means instead of alleviating people from poverty, people are being further plunged into these conditions of informality and indignity.
On that note then, Buhle, maybe I might be pushing it. The first 100 days, what are the priorities that you'd like the minister returning into the Minister of Human Settlement to look into?
One, they must address this question of the housing backlog that we have in this country of 2.5 million. But also, we know that Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi has an unfinished business in the department of the white paper. A white paper that will be used to reformulate the Housing Act. So she must continue with consultation with civil society sector, with members of society at large, insofar as drafting that white paper, so that we have a document that will be able to use to at least try to navigate this housing crisis that we have here. So that's what we wanted to do. But also, in the context of the declining provision of housing and provision of what Savers decides that they said they're moving towards, they must carefully give consideration to that and make public land available to build housing for people. That's what they must do. And in conditions of informal settlements, we know a lot of people are living in floodplains. She must prioritize the question of relocation of people to suitable land. That's what they must do amongst other things. But also, we know that Mmamoloko has taken a posture of criminalizing people that are staying in occupations. So much like the DA, they sing the same tune of criminalizing poor black people who are prefiguring housing solutions in the absence of the state delivering homes for people. We hope that she'll move away from that type of narrative and start to see these occupations as lived alternatives and build housing for people. That's what they are there for.
Thank you so much, Buhle Booi, then Ndifuna Ukwazi, head of organizing and campaigns, saying that as they note the reappointment of the Human Settlement Minister, hoping that she will be able to address some of the things that were left hanging from the previous administration. Hopefully this time around they will be prioritizing key things like informal settlements and providing those services that the President spoke of yesterday, that the new cabinet and administration will be delivering to the South African citizens.